Title 10 Great Battles That Changed World History. Welcome back to Factastic World. Today we're diving into the 10 great battles that changed world history.
Chapter 1. The Battle of Marathon. Our journey begins in 490 BC, on the sun-drenched plains of Marathon, Greece. Here, a vastly outnumbered Athenian army faced the might of the Persian Empire. Despite being outnumbered, the Athenians, with their superior tactics and unwavering courage, routed the Persian forces. This improbable victory sent shockwaves through the ancient world, marking a turning point in the Greco-Persian Wars. The Battle of Marathon secured the survival of Greek culture and democracy, paving the way for the Golden Age of Athens.
Chapter 2. The Battle of Hastings. Fast forward nearly 1,000 years, we arrive at the Battle of Hastings in 1066, a battle that would forever alter the course of English history. On one side stood the English forces led by the newly crowned King Harold Godwinson. On the other, the Norman army under the command of the ambitious William the Conqueror. The Normans, renowned for their military prowess, particularly their cavalry and archers, fought valiantly. The course of the battle shifted back and forth, but the death of King Harold, struck down by a Norman arrow, turned the tide. The English resistance crumbled and William claimed victory. William's conquest led to the imposition of Norman rule on England, bringing about significant changes to English culture, language, and governance. The legacy of the Battle of Hastings is etched into the very fabric of English society. Chapter 3. The Siege of Orleans. We turn now to the tumultuous 15th century, a century marked by the brutal 100 Years' War between England and France. The Siege of Orleans, a pivotal moment in this protracted conflict, unfolded in 1429. From the depths of despair arose an unlikely hero, Joan of Arc. Joan rallied the demoralized French troops and led them to break the English siege. The Siege of Orleans became a turning point in the 100 Years' War, marking the beginning of the end of English dominance in France.
Chapter 4. The Battle of Waterloo. Our journey through military history takes us to the year 1815 and the Battle of Waterloo, a battle that would decide the fate of Europe. On one side stood the French army, led by the legendary Napoleon Bonaparte, seeking to reassert his dominance over Europe after his exile. On the other, a coalition of European powers, led by the Duke of Wellington, determined to halt Napoleon's ambitions. The French fought with their customary ferocity, but the combined might of the British, Dutch, and Prussian armies proved too strong. Napoleon's defeat ushered in a period of relative peace and stability in Europe, redrawing the political map and shaping the course of European history for decades to come. Chapter 5. The Battle of Gettysburg. We cross the Atlantic now to the battlefields of America and the tumultuous years of the American Civil War, a conflict that tore the nation apart. The Battle of Gettysburg, fought in July 1863, stands as a pivotal moment in this bloody conflict, marking one of the most significant battles in American history. The Confederate Army of Northern Virginia, led by General Robert E. Lee, had invaded the North, hoping to strike a decisive blow against the Union forces and change the course of the war. The Union Army of the Potomac, under the command of General George Meade, stood in their way, determined to defend their territory and repel the invaders. The fighting reached its climax on the third day with Pickett's charge, a desperate but futile Confederate assault on the Union Center, which would become legendary for its bravery and tragedy. The Confederate attack was repulsed with heavy losses, effectively ending the Battle of Gettysburg in a Union victory, a moment that would be remembered for generations. The Battle of Gettysburg marked a turning point in the Civil War, halting the Confederacy's momentum and dashing their hopes of winning foreign recognition and support, ultimately shaping the future of the United States.
Chapter 6. The Battle of Stalingrad. Our journey takes us now to the Eastern Front of World War II and the city of Stalingrad, where one of the most brutal and consequential battles in human history unfolded. The Battle of Stalingrad, fought between August 1942 and February 1943, was a clash of ideologies, a titanic struggle between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. The German Sixth Army, under General Friedrich Paulus, sought to capture the city that bore the name of Soviet leader Joseph Stalin. The Soviets, however, were determined to defend their motherland to the death. Finally, in February 1943, the remnants of the German Sixth Army surrendered, marking a decisive turning point in World War II. We now turn our attention to the beaches of Normandy, France, where the fate of Western Europe hung in the balance on June 6, 1944, D-Day. Operation Overlord, as it was codenamed, involved the combined might of the United States, Britain, Canada, and other allied nations, determined to liberate Western Europe from Nazi tyranny. The scale of the operation was staggering, with thousands of ships and aircraft ferrying over 150,000 Allied troops across the English Channel. The landings were met with fierce resistance from the German defenders, who were dug in along the heavily fortified Atlantic Wall. Despite heavy losses, the Allies gained a foothold on the beaches and began the slow, grinding process of pushing inland. D-Day marked the beginning of the end of Nazi Germany's grip on Western Europe.
Our journey through pivotal battles takes us now to the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean and the Battle of Midway, a clash of naval titans that would decide the fate of the Pacific War. The Battle of Midway was a battle of carriers, a duel to the death between the most powerful navies in the world. The Japanese, emboldened by their early successes in the war, sought to crush the American fleet and secure their dominance in the Pacific. The Americans, however, had intercepted Japanese communications and knew of their plans, giving them a crucial advantage. American dive bombers, in a stroke of luck and skill, crippled 3 Japanese aircraft carriers, turning the tide of the battle. The Battle of Midway was a decisive American victory, a turning point in the Pacific War. We travel back in time now to the Mediterranean Sea and the Battle of Lepanto, a monumental clash of civilizations that shaped the destiny of Europe and the Ottoman Empire for centuries to come. The Battle of Lepanto pitted the formidable Ottoman fleet against a coalition of Christian powers known as the Holy League, consisting primarily of ships from Spain, Venice, and the Papal States, united in a common cause. The stakes were incredibly high, with control of the Mediterranean and the balance of power in the region hanging precariously in the balance. The battle raged for hours in the Gulf of Patras, a furious and chaotic melee of galleys, cannons, and brutal hand-to-hand combat that tested the mettle of every sailor and soldier involved. The Christian fleet, though significantly outnumbered, fought with a ferocity fueled by religious zeal and an unyielding determination to halt the relentless Ottoman advance. The Battle of Lepanto ended in a decisive and historic victory for the Holy League, a victory that shattered the myth of Ottoman invincibility and effectively checked their westward expansion, altering the course of history.
Our final destination takes us back to the Eastern Front of World War II, a theater of war that witnessed some of the most intense and brutal fighting in history. Here, we focus on the Battle of Kursk, the largest tank battle ever fought, and a clash of unimaginable ferocity that would shape the course of the war. The Battle of Kursk was the culmination of months of meticulous planning and preparation by both the German and Soviet armies, each determined to outmaneuver the other. The Germans, seeking to regain the initiative after their devastating defeat at Stalingrad, planned a massive offensive aimed at encircling and destroying the Soviet forces positioned in the Kursk salient, a bulge in the front lines. The Soviets, fully aware of German intentions through their extensive intelligence network, had prepared massive defenses in depth, transforming the battlefield into a deadly killing ground filled with mines, trenches, and fortified positions. The Germans, despite their initial advances and superior tactics, were gradually ground down by the tenacious Soviet defense and the overwhelming weight of Soviet armor and artillery, which seemed almost endless. The Battle of Kursk ended in a decisive Soviet victory, marking a significant turning point in the war on the Eastern Front and signaling the beginning of a relentless Soviet advance towards Berlin.
And there you have it, 10 great battles that changed world history. Which battle do you think had the most significant impact? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating insights from Factastic World.